Welcome to the City of Rockford's public hearing. My name is Sarah Brinkman, and I'm the Housing and Program Manager for the City of Rockford. The purpose of today's virtual public hearing is to provide an overview of the city's 2023 Annual Action Plan draft, an amendment to the goals of the 2020 through 2024 Consolidated Plan, and clarifications on our Citizen Participation Plan. We'll start by talking about the Annual Action Plan. The city receives federal funds from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, known as HUD, which supports housing and community development programs in our community. The city receives 3 grant program funds from HUD: Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, Home Investment Partnerships Program, or HOME, and Emergency Solutions Grant, or ESG. The first 2 grants are managed by the city's Community and Economic Development Department, and ESG is managed by Health and Human Services staff. The city's 2020 through 2024 5-year consolidated plan guides the strategy and use of housing and community development funds. 2023 is year 4 of the 5-year consolidated plan. Programs and activities for 2023 will support the 5 strategies identified as high priority in the 2020 through 2024 consolidated plan. These 5 strategies are housing, community development, economic development, homeless, and administration planning and management. We'll start with the housing strategy. The objective of the housing strategy is to improve, preserve, and expand the supply of affordable housing for low and moderate income persons and families that is decent, safe, and sound. Here are the budgeted amounts and the expected outcomes for the 2023 housing strategy. Included are incentives to increase the number of affordable housing units in the city for owners and renters by assisting with acquisition, development fees, construction, and rehabilitation. This is our housing development goal. To continue to assist with rehabilitating existing affordable housing units occupied by owners and renters in the city by addressing code violations, emergency repairs, energy efficiency improvements, and handicap accessibility. This is our housing rehabilitation goal. To continue to assist low and moderate income home buyers to purchase homes by providing direct subsidies, which include but are not limited to down payment and closing cost assistance, including housing counseling fees, interest subsidies, and more. That's our home ownership goal. To promote fair housing choice through education, testing, training, and outreach in the city of Rockford. It's our fair housing goal. And to provide eligible program delivery and oversight for the CDBG and home-funded housing projects and activities under our project delivery goal. The city's housing development budget works to increase the number of affordable units within the city and includes for-profit and nonprofit developer projects and community housing development organization projects known as CHODO and CHODO-related operating funding. The 2023 budgeted amount has been increased based on input we received from the community and our partners. What is a CHODO? They are a private, nonprofit, community-based organization that has staff with the capacity to develop affordable housing for the community it serves. In order to qualify for designation as a CHODO, the organization must meet certain criteria pertaining to their legal status, organizational structure, capacity, and experience. Part of the housing development budget includes CHODO operating funds. In order to use these funds, the CHODO must have an eligible project within 24 months of the operating fund award. The second strategy is our community development strategy, and the objective of this strategy is to improve the community facilities, infrastructure, public services, public safety, and transportation, along with the elimination of blighting influences in the city of Rockford. Under this strategy, the city intends to remove and eliminate slum and blighting conditions through demolition of vacant, abandoned, and dilapidated structures. This is our clearance or demolition goal. To improve the public infrastructure through rehab, reconstruction, and new construction of streets, sidewalks, bridges, curbs, walkways, waters, stormwater, sanitary sewer, and handicap accessibility improvements, removal of architectural barriers, and more. That's our infrastructure goal. Our third strategy is the economic development strategy, and the objective of this one is to improve and expand employment opportunities in the city for low and moderate income persons and families. Under this goal, we support business and commercial growth through rehabilitation of storefronts and retail space, expansion of businesses, and the development of new businesses. Assistance for qualified expenses for development of commercial or industrial property include design work, mechanical systems, building materials, site readiness, or equipment. The objective of the homeless strategy, our fourth strategy, is to improve the living conditions and support services available to homeless persons, families, and those who are at risk of becoming homeless. Under this goal, we intend to support the Continuum of Care's efforts and applicants to provide emergency shelter, transitional housing, permanent supportive housing, and other permanent housing opportunities. That's our housing goal. We intend to assist providers who operate housing or provide support services for the homeless and persons or families at risk of becoming homeless. That's in our operation support goal. And to assist the Continuum of Care's efforts in prevention of homelessness through anti-eviction activities and programs for rapid rehousing. These funds, again, are administered through the city's Health and Human Services Department, and they can be awarded to subrecipient agencies through a request for proposal process. Therefore, the outcomes are based on the number of subawards, not necessarily the number of households or individuals that are being assisted. The fifth priority goal is our administration and planning and management strategy. We need to provide sound and professional planning, administration, oversight, and management of these federal, state, and local funded programs and activities. Here are the amounts that we are allowed to contribute to this goal each plan year. The administrative caps or maximums for each grants are: for CDBG, we can do up to 20% of the grant allocation. And as you can see, we are under that. We're probably around 17%. For home, we're at 10% of our grant allocation. And for ESG, we're at 7.5% of our grant allocation. This slide shows the estimated 2023 budget based on our 2022 grant allocation. This slide summarizes the information from the previous slides. As you can see, the majority of our budget supports our housing strategy. Some additional local policy and program details. Adjustments to the 2023 budget will be made once allocations are announced by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. We have presented this 2023 plan using the allocations from our 2022 budget, since we know those amounts, and we will make slight adjustments once we get and receive the new numbers from HUD in 2023. We'll take any increases or decreases in CDBG and our home funds, and we'll apply it to projects that are in need or slow moving. We'll just figure out where our priority projects are and where that money needs to go. The city anticipates that it will incur some pre-award costs for 2023 funds. That means that we are allowed to spend some of the money that we receive under our allocation before we actually get the official allocation notice, since HUD typically runs 6 to 9 months behind what our fiscal year and planning process is. Any CHOTO operating dollars that are not requested or committed by the end of the calendar year will automatically be moved to the home housing development project. Additionally, we did receive CARES Act funding labeled CDBG-CV or ESG-CV, and we have additional dollars that we need to spend under those $2. HUD also announced a Home-ARP, and there it stands for Home-American Rescue Plan allocation. We received that amount award in 2021, and we plan to have public hearings in the beginning of 2023 to assess community needs as it relates to this grant. Grants received and not fully expended during 2022 may still be available in 2023. This includes HUD grants as well as the Illinois Housing Development Authority Strong Community Program grant, a $75,000 grant the city received to complete residential demolitions. Also, the city can access what are called Section 108 loans. We're eligible to apply for up to 5 times of our current CDBG entitlement allocation. If we were to do that, we could use it to fund economic development, housing, public facilities, infrastructure, or other physical development projects. The issue with this money is it is loaned to us at a variable rate. So we do need to weigh out the expense of pursuing this money instead of looking at private market or other state funding options. If we wanted to make a change to what we wanted to do in 2023, we would follow the programming requirements that are outlined in our citizen participation plan. A substantial change to the plan invokes the citizen participation process and a city council approval. So we would look for what we were doing, and if it fit one of these 2 criteria outlined on this slide, we would again hold public sessions to make sure we were as transparent as possible about how we were changing our goals and our strategies and what money we were planning to move to that opportunity. As a recipient of HUD funding, the city works to affirmatively further fair housing. So this means we commit to taking meaningful actions in addition to combating discrimination that overcome patterns of segregation and fosters inclusive communities free from barriers that restrict access to opportunity based on protected classes. Here are the protected characteristics: race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, and disability. These are the protected classes as defined by federal statute. In the state of Illinois, there are laws in place to protect the same traits as federal law, plus ancestry, age, military discharge status, marital status, protective order status, and sexual orientation. And starting in 2023, it will also include source of income. If you have been discriminated against when seeking housing for anything related to one of the protected classes, here are 2 ways to file claims. You can fill out the complaint form that is on the illinois.gov website, which is listed here. Or you can call Prairie State Legal Services and ask for their Fair Housing Project at the number below. We have made some amendments and changes through our public participation process in 2021 and 22. So we are needing to make an amendment to the 5-year plan goals based on those changes. In the planning process for the 2022 annual action plan, the city of Rockford submitted a substantial amendment that moved 2021 annual action plan funding from our homeowner rehabilitation and economic development strategies into the community development strategy called infrastructure. Subsequently, funding for infrastructure was approved for the 2022 budget, and the city plans to budget funds for this same goal in 2023 and 2024. This will need to be reflected now in our 5-year plan goals. Although the CDBG CV funds were an amendment of the 2019 annual action plan, HUD required reporting to be included in the 2020 reporting. Therefore, the numbers here account for the additional CDBG CV activities in economic development. And in a moment, I'll share a slide that shows you those numbers. Additionally, the city plans to provide for more housing development and to remove blighted commercial buildings. Therefore, housing rehab and ED budgets and goals have been aligned with planned spending for 2023 and 2024. This means the goals in the 2020 through 2024 consolidated plan, known as the CON plan, are being amended to reflect these changes. The first column shows the original outcomes that were reported in the CON plan, and then the second column shows what we are amending the goals to become. For our citizen participation plan, we're making you aware that we have some minor revisions that include clarification of the following. Public comments and city responses may now be summarized. Lists of what information should be available to the citizens. We have changed how we indicate where citizens obtain copies of plans and reports. And we included some more procedural details for publishing notices. These changes are effective in January of 2023, regardless of what the grant funding year that's affected. You can find the full citizens participation plan on the city's website. What is the timeline for this process? November 7th through December 6th is our public comment period. So you have until 5 p.m. on December 6th to submit comments on what was just presented. If you'd like to see full versions of the plan, you can find it available on our website or at the locations mentioned here on this slide. January and then latest February, we plan to present the final draft of the plan to City Council for approval. And then when HUD announces the city's grant allocation, city staff will update the budget and submit that plan to HUD within 45 days. At this time, we do not know when the federal government will approve an appropriation bill for these federal programs. So once that is approved, that's when we will receive the announcement of our grant allocation. We are asking for your written comments and feedback regarding these plans. My contact information is listed here. Thank you for taking the time to participate and watch our presentation. We look forward to hearing from you.